was growing up, in my household, we didn't believe in God. We didn't go to church, and we didn't know Jesus. Early on, my father began to sexually abuse me when I was between the ages of 10 and 11. It was very hard for me. I was very scared. I was very confused. And he would just touch me inappropriately, and it would cause me to shut down and be very afraid. I had a lot of low self-esteem, and I just felt like an ugly duckling all the time. Well, he died when I was 16, and shortly after that, I met a man that was very much like my father, and he, I thought, was awesome. He was good looking, he was smart, he talked good, and I wanted all that attention. Good, bad, it didn't matter to me. I just wanted the attention. He made me feel like I wasn't ugly. But it didn't take very long before he started to tear me down. He started to physically abuse me, and it was pretty hard. I thought that I could make him better, but the harder I tried, the worse it got. I thought I could cook better or clean better or be better, and it would change him, but it never did. There were times that you couldn't look at me without seeing bruises. There was times he would hit me with wiffle bats. There was times he would smack me around. He would black my eyes. It was pretty intense most of the time. There was one evening that pretty much ended the abuse, but it was the worst night that I spent. He was drunk all day, and he would always accuse me of cheating. He would hold me down and choke me just long enough to get ready to black out, but then he would let go, and then he would smack me around some more. And well, this time I got away from him, and I ran into the living room where he kept a loaded gun on the entertainment center most of the time. And I ran in there and I grabbed the gun. And when I grabbed the gun, I knew that nobody would blame me if I shot him. Nobody would blame me if I killed him. So I grabbed the gun, I pointed it at him as he ran towards me. And he looked at me and he taunted me and he said, "You're not going to do it. You can't do it." And honestly, I think I could have. I pulled on that trigger very hard, and it wouldn't go off. He ran towards me and grabbed me and pulled me to the ground and struggled the gun out of my hand and began to hit the back of the gun on my back, and then grabbed me up and threw me into the bedroom where I thought it was going to be over, but he threw me on the bed, and I turned around, and he had grabbed a bottle of rubbing alcohol, and he was screaming at me, and he said, "You think you can kill me? I'm going to kill you." And he began to splash the rubbing alcohol all over me, and I looked over at him, and he had a lighter. And I don't think that he meant to actually light it, but he did. He hit the lighter, and I was engulfed in flames. And as I looked around, all I could see was fire. And I know it stunned him. He grabbed a blanket and he pulled me down and he patted it out and got all the fire out, and I just looked at myself and I realized I wasn't burned. My hair hadn't singed, my skin was okay. But like I said, I didn't know God, so I wasn't sure why that had happened. But I was so exhausted. He left the room and I cried until I went to sleep, and I woke up the next day and I immediately went and I called the police. I called my mom. I was pregnant with baby number 3 at this time. So I had 2 other girls, and my mom got there and I grabbed up my 2 little girls and we left. I never looked back. I did have to go to court. The police wanted me to press charges. They wanted me to press attempted murder charges on him, but I was still just so scared. I just wanted it to be over. And it was. I started to live my life, but it wasn't very long before somebody had invited me to a church play. Well, I didn't know anything about church plays or what was involved with that, and I said, sure, I'll go. And they had babysitters for the kids, and so I went, and the kids went with the babysitters, and they sat me halfway down in the sanctuary, right next to the aisle. And I was sitting there, and the place was all decorated up, and I didn't understand it, didn't get it, but it was a play, and all of a sudden it got very dark in there, and the music was going, and all of a sudden a spotlight showed up right next to me. And it was Jesus. And he had dropped his cross right there, right in the aisle. And the Holy Spirit began to speak to me. And right then, I believe, I started to believe. And I began to cry. I watched the whole play, knowing that the Lord was pulling me to that. They gave an altar call, and I ran to the front. And I gave my heart to the Lord. It wasn't very long after that, the Lord began to heal my heart. He began to work things out of me. I began to forgive. I began to rise above what had happened. The Lord did a lot of phenomenal things in my life. He healed me. He healed the past. He gave me a future. And he showed me that I'm loved. I was no longer an ugly duckling, but I was his child. And that's my testimony.